a first guest. It's very cool.
Awesome, man. I thought you would have had guests by now. That to me, that's crazy.
You know, it's been a little bit, and it took us a little bit of time to get up to this point where we can go live in this
Yeah,
way. But we are currently live, and I'm sitting here with
we
my
are.
homie. We are
What's
live.
up?
What's going
Hey,
down, my
everybody.
friend? Yeah, we have Nick over here from Key Collector Comics, and I'm
Hi.
excited to have you on, man. It's been long overdue.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I love what you do. Of course, we met at the New York Comic Con, and ever since we've been best buds.
That's right.
You
And
see his eyes go left, right. What are you
oh,
talking about?
you know what I'm looking for? I'm looking for, this is the first time here I'm doing Google Hangouts, and I brought Nick on because I was excited to chat with you about some stuff. And I don't have the feed. I'm realizing Google Hangouts doesn't provide you with a
Chat.
a chat. But you know what? I don't think we need it. I think
That
that
sucks.
this is going to be a conversation because you can't see it either, right?
Yeah, I can't
Okay.
see it, but I know that Bueller was doing it
Okay.
when Bueller interviewed me, and he had the chat. He was able to find the chat. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe somebody can text you.
Oh, you know
Let
what?
you
I
know.
have an idea. I've brought it up on my phone. So no worries, comic fam. I'm here, but I'm here with Nick from Key
Yeah.
Collector Comics, the maker of the
Hello.
app. Um,
Yeah.
it's very cool to see you. I was just watching you on Comics with Bueller last week, hearing you about your story, about your hustle.
Yeah.
And kudos to you. I'm excited
Thank
to
you.
see an entrepreneur who is in the tech industry, who is into comic books, actually be part of the comic book industry. Like you have you're on Instagram, you have your own YouTube channel, like you're
Yes,
pumping
I
out
do.
videos.
He
It's
collected
awesome.
comics. Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I'm not a tech guy, which is like the craziest thing about this is I don't know anything about tech. And then I'm like, I think I'll start a mobile app. And then all of a sudden, it's like actually been downloaded in 160 countries, which is wild. If you look at the top 10 of where it's been downloaded, it's, the US, Canada, the UK, and then it's like Pakistan and Iran and India are also like huge downloads of Key Collector. I'm sure it's a lot of military personnel, but it's funny to see it all over the world. It's just so mind blowing, and I love when people reach out to me and just to thank your fans for supporting Key Collector because it means the world. It really does.
I have to say, we were I was on the mic earlier in the year, and we met way before we were putting out even videos for CBSI, because I used your app. This was
Yeah,
kind of an app that was recommended by Russ, I believe, and a number of my other dealer friends, because it's a really useful app for the novice, but also
yeah.
for the seasoned hunter. Someone who's going through long boxes and going through it. But anyways, all your information's in the description.
To that point, by the way, comics have been they've been publishing comics for over 8 decades. Ever since Famous Funnies was published in 1934, there's been over 8 decades of comic books being published. So if you want a quick, comprehensive, concise guide, you kind of need something like that. But we
But
did meet. Yeah,
but
we did.
you know what? I do
First time I
appreciate.
heard about you, somebody told me. Comic Tom talked about your app. I'm like, who's Comic Tom? And this was right when you started out. So that was exciting.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I appreciate that you're here. And if you want to get any of Nick's information, go to his website, go to his app. All the links are in the bio, but we're not here to chat about that. First off, we're going to jump into some information because you made a video recently I want to chat with you about. But before we do that, I want to give a quick little thank you to Closet Geek. Thank you so much. He says, awesome app, Nick. And he did a super chat. So thank you so much, Closet Geek. You are
Classic Geek.
A regular supporter of the show. I appreciate you. And then also Brian Ball, he says, hey, I'm here. Bring me on.
That's the writer. That's the writer of Rags.
Oh, is he the writer of Rags?
Yeah, so he can jump in anytime he wants.
Oh, do you want to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Hey, all right, cool. You know what? Brian Ball. Let's chat.
Brian Ball.
This is going to be a unique show. I'm glad the comic fam is joining me. This is what we're gonna do here, Brian. I want you to send me let's see, what's the best way we can do this? I need to invite him. Oh, and we got it here. I got it. Cool. Okay, so before I do that, first off, I want to
by the way, this is totally spontaneous. This is not something that Tom had planned out.
No, I have a, so here's the thing. Brian, I'm going to send you this invite here in a second, and I appreciate everybody, joining us tonight. kind of last minute. We're just chatting comic books, and we're gonna focus on comic books tonight. To the 121 people plus, thank you so much for joining us. Please hit that like button. Let's get this video out there. And yeah, this is let's see here. We are going to just give me a second here because this was a, I wanted to have a quick little conversation because I had some points I wanted to bring up after seeing your video about rags. But better yet, if Brian wants to jump on, maybe this will be an interesting way that we can do it. So with your permission, we're good, Nick?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And just with the whole video, and by the way, Tom did mention it on YouTube that I did the other day. It's, it's not meant to be a personal attack on anybody, but it is meant to keep an eye on what's happening in the comic book world and let people know about it. Because when I launched the app, Key Collector Comics, which is now a website also, in October 2017, one of the reasons, the main reason that I launched it was so that there could be a level playing field for all these different experience levels of comic book collectors, and that there would be one area where somebody could go and find out stuff about comic books that they could trust, which is, by the way, why I don't sell comics or buy comics, is because I don't have a conflict of interest. So the information that people get is information that has absolutely no there's no benefit to me telling people about certain things. So
well, I appreciate you saying that, Nick. So what I'm going to start this off before I invite, his name's Brian, correct? Brian Ball. Awesome. Brian, thank you so much for joining. Before I have him on, I just want to basically say I'm going to ask you both some questions. Let's keep it, I don't want to have this be an argument. I would like to clear some stuff up. I think this actually could be really beneficial for the community. And just ask for everyone to be polite. We're just chatting comic books, but no, this is really cool. Thank you so much, Brian and Nick.
Brian and I have talked back and forth via comments, and one of his other guys we've talked back and forth, and it's always been civil. So I don't think that there's anything that is vitriolic about our communication. It's just been. Here are some things that I find very strange about this.
Nick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait. I want him on. If we're gonna start talking, I'm gonna bring him on. Okay.
I'm just saying that nothing has been that hostile.
Sure.
Maybe some of his fans, but that's expected.
Well, let's get into that here in a sec. I mean, before we get into it, if he's already said yes, I think we should just bring him on in.
Come on.
Here. All right. Appreciate the comic fam. Hope everyone's having a good day. I feel like I gotta switch the color. I feel like this is different.
You got that soft blue.
What kind of mood we have here? We're gonna switch this to a little bit more of a let's see here. No, that's terrible. Let's just here we go. There we go.
You're like in a jazz club. It looks
pretty much. It's pretty much a jazz club.
You have a guy playing a
horn with us, guys. We're bringing Brian on. Let's see here. I sent to Brian. Let's see. I'll pull up the chat again. All right. Appreciate you guys for waiting. This is all a little last minute. We had a little bit to chat about, but you know what? Brian's gonna make it really easy for us. So let me check. Let me send him another one here. Maybe I sent this to the wrong person. Bear with us.
Sent it to Brian Balk.
Let's see here. Unless he had a typo in his message here that he sent to me. Let's see. All right. It says it's sent. We'll see we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Well, if you want to get started, I'm sure you just do the background aspect of this.
Yeah, here, let's just give him just a minute because it would be actually interesting to hear his take because I haven't heard of. I would actually like to hear a little bit about, if we're going to talk about the background of it, we're going to have to talk about the success of this comic book. And I would like to actually hear a little bit about that success and what that was like for this independent publisher, because this is one of the hottest indie comics of the year.
Since it came out in September, since Antarctic put it on the shelves, it's been consistently month after month, something that people have been talking about and something that has resold on eBay for a considerable amount consistently. And yeah, that is a rare thing that something retains its value. You know, we see a lot, especially from the indie world, we see a lot that is online, comes up, boom, $20, and then a couple weeks later you go, you check back on it, and it's $2 or $3. But rags is definitely something that is it's an anomaly.
We have aka Mr. BOLO, the homie over from CBSI. He mentions that this is a former CBSI hot book. I've reported on this book twice now. So
I've had it on the Key Collector Comics hot link too. In the for subscribers, there's hot keys, there's the spec deck, but it definitely it spent some time on the hot list.
let's see here. All right, I'm gonna I sent the message. Hey Brian, if you I want to maybe you did a typo on your message when you sent me your info, but I've sent it twice. And if we don't have you come on, then we're just gonna have to keep going.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna give him
Keep an
just
eye out on his chat, you know, see if
yeah,
jump in on the chat.
waiting on the invite, he says. Maybe
Oh.
okay, hold on. He just said waiting on the invite. Let's see. What are we doing right now, Comic Fam? I am trying to get Brian Ball on the mic. So bear with us to the 160 plus people. We're talking rags. We're going to be we're chatting here with Nick from Key Collector Comics.
Hello.
And yeah, we're going to actually have Brian Ball on. I'm going to send this out one more time here. Oh, you know what? I bet he did. I see it here. IE. Oh my goodness. Hey, Nick.
Yeah.
Do me a favor and talk about Key Collector for a second.
Oh my God, that's like my favorite subject. So I can't even believe that you're allowing. Wow. What does Tom's hat say? Paranormal, the marker? I don't even know.
Oh, you know what? Maybe it isn't. Okay, hold on. I think I got him here.
All right, Key Collector is on. I see. I almost missed my window. I may have missed my window.
You did. You're gonna get me to talk about paranormal activity. I can do that.
No.
I can keep us going here. All right. So
Key Collector is it's a mobile app and now a website that helps collectors identify which comic books are keys, like first appearances, origins, anything that's valuable or potentially valuable. Helps to help you build value in your collection. And there's you can search by artist and writer. A lot of people don't know about that. Artist, writer, publisher. If you tap additional, Rag Zombie joined the video call.
All right. Well, first off, can you hear us? How is it on your end?
It looks like it came and gone.
Oh, he was there for a second. Oh, there he is.
Radio check.
There he is.
Check. I can hear you loud and clear.
Right, awesome. Thank fuck. Sorry. Google Hangouts sucks.
You know, it happens. It happens. This is actually this is the first Google Hangouts I've done on my end. But first off, thank you so much for joining, jumping in on this chat. We have Brian Ball, the creator of Ragzon.
Yep, that's me.
Very cool.
One of the set.
Awesome, awesome. So first off, thank you for jumping on. Actually, big fan of your work, man. That book was killer. When we reported on that, geez, it must have been a couple months ago. I actually went and found a copy. I watched a couple different reviews, actually got to read it and went out looking for it. And oh my gosh, that book was hot. And a lot of people were saying that this could be like the next big zombie book. And I'm a huge apocalypse, like world is ending zombie fan. So kudos. And you know, we have Nick here from Key Collector, who put out a video recently chatting about kind of the potential,
the craziness. This is crazy. So
this is crazy. It's been about 3 weeks.
This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts.
But what if we could resolve it right here, right now? I mean, this should be.
That's why I'm here. I'm hoping just to like clear the air about some stuff, because I know from a outsider in standpoint, we are doing some terribly unconventional stuff, and it's confused a lot of people. So yeah, hopefully we just clear the air. We can let people know. I got Trent on board, so Trent's my battle buddy, my fellow writer, so we can both tell you our perspectives on this.
Awesome. Okay, so I have Nick on, and maybe what I'll do is I'm going to ask Nick here, because I've kind of, I've watched Nick's Nick's video. I got I did the research and kind of saw all the different stuff. There's a lot of forums on what's happened. Nick, can you maybe sum this up in a couple, as far as you would say problems with this situation? I would just like to hear the response from Brian, and we can see where we can start there.
Well, it first came onto my radar that I couldn't get an answer. So on Key Collector, there are values, and I had a value determined for rags number 1, the self-published version. I had some values, and they were up in the hundreds. And then as I was monitoring eBay, I was like, wow, well, now this is selling for 20. This is selling for 50. So I actually put it up on Facebook, and I said, I can't. I'm going to take the values out of the rags self-published comic book because I can't determine. It's so volatile. I can't determine what that is. So when I posted that, the rags, Shane, who does the public relations for them, reached out to me, and him and I had a conversation. And then Brian popped up in the comments, and he said, I asked him specifically. I said, because people weren't sure, was this a censored or uncensored version of this? How do I know what the censored or uncensored version? How do I know the difference between them? And Brian said, well, some are and some aren't. And I felt that answer was a little too nebulous so that I can do my job, which is provide accurate information to people that are out there trying to find and collect and understand comics.
So Nick, let me and that's fair enough. And let me get some clarification. I want to kick it over to Brian. So when you say the whether something's censored or not censored, why that makes a difference is because we have a lot of eBay sales showing inflated prices for people claiming a book is censored when it's not, because it's a little ambiguous on the Patreon site, thus affecting the market in a negative way. Correct?
That is correct. So this is kind of like my deal. The Patreon self-published versions, those were never supposed to go outside of Patreon. That was everyone's reward for helping us get the book to where it is now. As we finished, we put a little bit of extras. We left things uncensored. We got rid of the bunny skulls, yada, yada. That was the deal. We had this rule that is basically don't leak stuff. I have a few people that are kind of angry at me, and so they flip stuff onto eBay to get rid of the book. Fine, that's prerogative. They can do what they do. But generally, everyone that pledges and subscribes to us on Patreon, they understand this stuff is not supposed to go on eBay. We had somebody leak the names of everybody who's receiving the Tim Lim variant. And that is, if you don't understand this word, OPSEC. That's operational security. And I'm a military veteran, and a lot of my fans are military veterans, and this is why this book is aimed at them. Okay. So these Patreon copies, please, they weren't supposed to be released. I had that leak. I had to plug it.
Okay.
So in order to plug that leak, no, I'm getting to why it's censored and uncensored. So back issues for issue number 1. We didn't really have like an official normal version for that. I had a print-on-demand version, and the people were constantly begging me for back issues. So I released the print-on-demand version for people to buy, so I could focus on getting issue 3 knocked out and building the trade paperback for that, getting everything situated for the patrons. People went and bought that in bulk, not getting the right info, and threw that on eBay saying that was censored, and it wasn't.
Okay. Okay, interesting. So there's a couple things I want to break down, because the first thing that Nick, I would like, I guess, do you want to respond to that? But before we do that, I want to just mention, because you mentioned a couple things, and I want to make sure to touch on all these things. But the first thing is that you had an agreement between you and the patrons that they wouldn't sell these exclusive books. Did you market them in any way that they were like as a limited, or that they'd be worth anything?
No. I don't really market that it's a. I know a lot of on eBay it says like limited or small run or whatever. I print what I need, and I get those out to the people. So if I have 500 people subbing, or if I have 1,000 people subbing, I'm going to print what I need and get it to them.
Can I
Okay,
interrupt,
That's
Tom?
yeah, and I want to kick this to you, Nick, because there's a couple points he made. The first is having an agreement with the patrons that they wouldn't sell their copies, but
it wasn't that they wouldn't sell, it's just don't leak the covers, right?
don't leak the
Because
covers.
we have certain exclusive covers that we're doing, and we didn't want that leaked. It
Okay.
was part of the rules. It's in our overview. When people sub, it's in the welcome message, like, hey, this is how things work. This is how we're doing stuff. And when they join our Discord server, it's pinned there right in the pin message.
Okay.
Here's our rules. People have been using the Patreon books to make a quick buck, and the way we see it is it's kind of scummy. It's kind of like gatekeeping. There's fans out there that actually want to have the book in their hands. They actually want to read it, but they can't.
Okay.
And so they see all these inflated prices, and they reach out to us like, hey, do you have like can you tell Antarctic to print me another issue once? Like, I can't tell Antarctic what to do, but I have control over the Patreon copies.
Okay.
So if somebody wants a book, I would much rather them come to us, pay us the shipping, and we'll get it out to you.
Okay. Okay, Nick, can you respond to the first part of that before we go on to the printing of these books on demand?
Yeah, I don't think that there is a clear message when you are deciding whether or not to support the Patreon for Rags, that once you receive your copies, now I guess I have to go back to this part, which is you're saying that you're not supposed to leak the covers. But from what I've heard is that if you sell something on eBay, you will, if they know who you are, you'll get booted from the Patreon. And if they don't know who you are, they will punish the entirety of Patreon by taking these exclusives and making them print on demand. But one other thing is, Brian, you did say that you don't say that they're exclusive, or you don't say that they're limited up to a certain point. But in the video that I did post a direct quote from you that said, these are ultra rare. They're going to be very exclusive, and that they were talking about the Tim Lin variant #1.
Yeah.
That you were saying was going to be extremely rare, and only these people will get it, which turned out not to be the case.
Okay, so the way that was supposed to work was, yes, the Tim Lim variant is rare. It was only the people who were around at the time were supposed to be getting those. And then people kept turning around and flipping them on eBay. So
Okay,
yeah,
so
we just had was nuts. People kept flipping these on eBay, and there's also this demand of me to do back issue fulfillment, and I'm not real big on back issue fulfillment. So I was trying to make this like, hey, when you show up, if you missed a cover, you're not going to get that cover, but you'll get everything else moving forward.
okay. So
This
then
may be just a problem with my wording of things, which is fine. We can fix that.
so it sounded like the #1 issue that you put back to print on demand clear through December, I from what I saw in Nick's video and what I saw online, and I kind of think the community, I don't want to speak for the community, but it seemed based off of the reaction is that you went to print on demand in spite of the fact of the market doing what the market does with exclusive content. How do you respond to that?
I went to print on demand in spite of the market for the Tim Lim. Okay, so with the Tim Lim, we had this short idea with, hey, we are going to backfill these two variants just to catch people up. I use a certain service that allows me to print what I need. Tim Lim never went print on demand.
No, just the first issue did though.
Oh, that one. Yeah, the one that got leaked to the public and then just got printed like mad. It's this one. It's our I think you had it on your
Why do you say
cover.
that? Why do you say
It's
that
a
leaked
orange
to the
logo
public?
cover.
What
That's
does
not
that
the
mean?
Tim Lim.
Why do you say it got leaked to the public? Because
It
that
was
you open it when you
no,
put it on print on demand. You're opening it up for anyone.
no. Originally, what happened was people wanted back fulfillment, and so what we ended up doing was we created a secret. It was a link that we only gave out to operator tier, and they were supposed to keep hush hush so they could get their back fulfillments. Well, somebody leaked it, and it got out into the public, and people started printing it like fucking mad. Well, the thing is I don't even think like I knew I was out of town when this happened, so there was nothing I could do at the time. And then I think Brian was also MIA. So by the time we both got back and seen what happened, I mean, it had been printed off quite a bit, you know.
Right, and it was going on for about 2 months, and the link was still up. So that's where I had this first problem with this, was that you guys knew that it was that these comics cost $5 for anybody and everybody to print, but they were selling up to and over $200 per copy. And Brian, when I asked you about that, when I said, well, how do I know which one is worth that amount of money and which one is worthless? You told me, well, people should just take a chance on eBay. And I thought that was.
So the eBay shit. I don't control what people sell on eBay. So if someone's taking one of our books and they're throwing it on eBay and saying this is censored, or if it's uncensored or it's whatever the case, I can't tell people, or I'm not going to tell people like, hey, don't buy that. People need to go onto Google and do their due diligence, do their due research, right?
But you were having.
I have
didn't he
scalpers
just,
and flippers.
hey Brian,
Yes.
oh sorry, I don't. But didn't he just say that the reason it went on demand was because you were keeping it hush hush? Thus,
We were keeping it hush hush, and we were trying to help. We're trying to backfill our operator tier Patreons on back issues while we were working on issue 3, while we were working on other things. I just didn't have the time to go back and backfill everything. And again, issue 1 never had like a proper single issue uncensored variant. That was just the Tim Lim, and that was only done once.
Correct.
And so I had to go back and redo the Tim Lim variant for the back issue fulfillment through November. And so trying to get issue 3 done.
Okay, so before you go on with issue 3, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but still, my whole thing was I have thousands of people that use the app, and there's thousands of people on my social media, and even though you can't control what people sell this for on eBay, I asked you a question so that I could give some clarity to people who are getting ripped off, and you refused to answer it. You just said, well, they could take a chance on eBay.
If that's what they wanted to do.
And was sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I mean, if they wanted to take a chance on eBay and get ripped off, yeah, that's on them. I'm not responsible for people getting ripped off on eBay.
Well, but you could have said, but you could have said, hey, this is, actually we have it for
let me finish
for $5. So you could have done,
or you could let me finish what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so the thing is, I have a lot of scalpers and flippers, and I wasn't sure who was leaking information at the time. So I'm keeping a lot of the information about our operation, what we're doing, close to the chest. Because I don't know who's leaking names, who's leaking print counts, who's leaking covers. I don't know who's doing that. So when I got onto your Facebook post, I didn't know if you were part of that group, if you will. So yeah, that's why my answer was the way it was.
Okay. And I find a problem in the fact that you need to control what it is that you already relinquish to somebody else as their property. Because if I join Patreon and I pay $20 and I get my comic book in, and then let me just say, what if I want to be a Patreon supporter of Rags for a year? Well, that's going to cost me $240. And let's say I don't have $240 and I want to sell one issue so that I can continue to support you and be a part of your community. But if I do sell it, then the Rags will punish the entirety of the Patreon community that is supporting them by making by opening up the print on demand and destroying the exclusivity of that comic book?
I mean, I wouldn't say we were punishing anyone. In fact, we've actually talked with, because we run our Discord and we got a lot of patrons in there, and I mean, a good portion of them were like, you know what, that's all right.
So, but the problem is, like I have, sorry, let me jump in here. I have a couple of different things I've heard. I have questions for you, Brian. So when you say that you leaked a photo, like someone leaks a photo, are you implying that when someone gets the comic book and takes a picture and shows it online, they've leaked the photo?
No.
Okay, so how did someone leak the photo if
So when it comes to the books, it's pretty much, if say you're a patron, right? And we just did the mecha variant fulfillment. As soon as you get that copy of the mecha variant, and you just go onto eBay and flip that flip that bad boy for
Sure.
$250.
Sure.
That's leaking. Now, if you're subbing
that's what? That's leaking?
That's what we kind of consider leaking.
Okay, so let me no, that's right there is where I want to stop you, because you're saying that the person who supported your book, if he puts it on eBay and sells it, that is why you went back to the print count. You're saying they leaked something when that sounds like someone got an exclusive comic book and then sold it. Is that what you're saying is leaking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
how is that leaking? So you sent somebody a copy of your book that's out now. So how is that leaking?
It's you know, it's something we don't really want being sold, though. That's the whole thing. And even more so, we don't want people. Okay, look, we both work all day long. You know, we do this for fun. We're doing this mainly out of pocket and shit like that, right? And the biggest problem is I'm not okay with somebody spending $200 to $300 on our comic. And like I said, we've in our Discord, we've talked to everyone who's in there. Majority of the people, I'll give you, there's been a couple people who gotten upset about it, but a majority of the people in there are like, you know what, that's understandable. And we've already come to the decision, though. We've already talked with them all that we're not going to be releasing anything else on print on demand after all this is said and done. But we both just have problems with people spending hundreds of dollars on the comic when they could have, in reality, just come to us and spent $20 a month, gotten that exclusive and extra shit.
So to be fair, though, this whole conversation didn't sound like this. The whole conversation until this point was, you have people leaking exclusive content. Thus, as punishment, maybe not as punishment, but that justifies you putting a comic book back to print count and selling more comic books. And then this word leaking has now changed to. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you, but I think that there's something else at play that.
Well, here, let me finish here. Nick. I'm going to kick it back to you. I just want to point out here. He said leaking of content when we mean someone buying an exclusive book and then selling it on their, making the decision to sell it. And it brings me back to the first question: were these exclusive comic books sold as exclusives? Were they sold as limited? And that wasn't answered. The answer I got was no. And then Nick said yes. Were they or were they not sold as exclusives? Because to me, that would get someone to not only sign up for Patreon, but it would also get the collectors excited, which they were. And then gets people like me reporting on it to a show that puts out 2 videos that got 20,000 views. How that doesn't help the situation is a little confusing to me. So it doesn't sound like anything was leaked. It sounds like you're upset that people flipped books and you're justifying a reason to take a book back to print. Is that wrong? I want to make sure I'm trying to follow this situation. Then Nick, I want to hear the response there, Brian, and then we'll go to Nick.
I mean, not entirely, I guess. I mean, we don't want that, especially on the first day. We don't want those, yeah, you're right, exclusives being released, to the public. And I mean,
were they marketed as rare exclusives or not?
I don't think we've ever said rare.
No, we never said rare. We did say exclusive.
I have it where you say rare. I do. It's in, I have it where you actually said these are extremely rare and they are only for these 80 people that are.
Yeah, there were only for those 80 people, but so I don't actively go out and market my Patreon, right? I actively market like what I have for sale or what I have for retail. So I have never said that, hey, this come join our Patreon, get rare shit. It's just, hey, we have exclusive covers here.
Sure.
Sub and support us if you would like.
Okay.
Here's our rules when you sign up.
So
if you scroll down on the Patreon page for Rags, that I believe that message is still up, even where it says these are going to be exclusive and super rare, and we're not going to print anymore. When it's done, it's done. So I mean, in the video that I made, I have that in the video that I took from either your Patreon or something that was issued by you guys.
Yeah, but I think this is a bit of a timeline misunderstanding too, because I think that was updated after, because like I said, after we had talked with everybody in our Discord and stuff like that, we had told them that we're not doing any more print on demands, etc., and I think we updated the Patreon after that. So what you're seeing as recent does not apply to the old Tim Lim shit, though. That's the biggest problem.
I think this was back in April that it was time stamped. But, another thing that, you did say we don't want anybody spending $100 to $200 on an issue. But, Brian, you had that opportunity to tell me right then and there when I asked you on Facebook, what is the difference between these two, which would have allowed me to get that message out and would have allowed anybody that read that to understand what was happening on eBay, where people were spending $100 to $200, but you didn't take that opportunity to do that.
I didn't feel that I needed to. So
why would that be? I mean, if you didn't want people
because my intent was to stop people from flipping the books on eBay for crazy amounts of money.
Can I ask you a question, Brian?
Yeah.
When you say you want to stop them from doing that, then how come the number 2 exclusive was marketed directly to resellers?
I didn't market anything. I didn't market anything to resellers.
There was
on Indie Planet, you had the number 2 variant exclusive that even after you said, we're trying to learn lessons here, we're trying to not make the same mistakes, but then because, and this is what I was told, because somebody said, no, you know what, Brian, you wouldn't put up an exclusive for print on demand. You said you want to bet, and then you put it up, and it was, if you purchase 5, you get a discount, and this is perfect for resellers. That's what it said in the Indie Planet listing.
I did not do that. I did not do that. I think that's Indie Planet's.
Oh, come on, dude.
No, that's Indie Planet.
Said perfect for resellers. Come on.
That's Indie Planet. I don't market anything towards resellers.
I'm calling bullshit on that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
you can call bullshit all day. You open up your own Indie Planet little account, put in a book, and then do like the discount thing. I think it just does it by itself. So okay. I'm actually going to check my own bullshit. No, hold on. I'm going to check my own bullshit to make sure that's right.
No, that could be a reason, and maybe you didn't.
That could be part of the problem. See, so
that could be. That's true. But why did you take it down?
So we're here to fix the problem, not to argue and up each other. So
no, exactly.
Why did you take it down though? That print on demand that you did have up. Why did it come down?
Because we talked it over with our patrons in Discord. And we had an agreement. It's like, okay, we're not going to do this print-on-demand nonsense anymore. We're going to ignore eBay sales. We're going to focus getting the book out and into your hands. And whatever happens at that point, happens at that point. If somebody reaches out to me and says, hey, I'm trying to buy your book, I couldn't get it because I have to pay $400 to $500 on eBay, I'm just going to get them a book.
Is there, do you happen to know, this could help clear some stuff up, so because I think we got both sides here, and I think the audience can take all this information. At the end of the day, we're talking about what they should pay for a comic book that is selling very well online to this day. A really easy way we can figure that out is, do we know a print count on Rags #1, the version that you put out for your patrons, but then you put back to print on demand post seeing them selling on eBay?
Yes, I do have a print count for that one, and you give me 2 seconds. I will tell you the number.
Sure, take your time, no worries. And again, I do appreciate
it's 1,023.
1,023. So
1,023 is the print count, and I tried to cut it off before it hit 1,000. I wasn't fast enough, but that is what it is.
So that's good information to start off, because I think that would have helped the situation in the very beginning, because we had people thinking that this was an exclusive thing to, if you go on your Patreon, oh, a couple hundred people got this book. So it's 100, under 1 in 100, 1 under 200. When in reality now it's 1 out of 1,000.
Right. So
a little bit
this
more
is
than that.
kind of what I was trying to clear up in the beginning. So that issue number 1, that's print on demand, that one is censored, right?
Yes.
That version never had an uncensored copy. And the
Correct.
reason for that one was when we started this out in the beginning and we were fishing for publishers, nobody was picking us up. Nobody was helping us out, yada, yada, yada. So I found Indie Planet. I made a censored version. And that's that version that I took to San Diego Comic-Con. That's the one I kind of passed out. That was my kind of like my business card. Like, hey, I'm Brian Ball doing a book. This is how it looks. So that was the one that we opened up to operators until we figured out what's the best way to backfill and hook everybody up with the uncensored copy.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that info. I think that's important to know. Nick, do you have any last things to say? I have a couple things to say, and I'm going to come right back to Brian. Just kind of do a little bit go around the table real quick before we end this here.
I just feel that if you create and I know that you don't say that this is a punishment, but if people leak something, and if they own something, it's their property, and you tell them you can't sell that, and if they end up selling it and you guys find out about it, then you I'm going to say punish. You punish them by opening it up to everybody to print. And the problem with the punishment is that it's a profitable punishment for rags. So in that, there is a conflict of interest in your business plan, where one, people can get ripped off, and you guys have your chat platform locked down so that people don't really know what's going on in the world of rags, so that they can't necessarily get that information. And when it's requested, you guys aren't very clear about giving that information out specifically. But the bottom line would be, when you see people getting scammed online, is to get the word out. Or, I mean, one of my questions to you would be, well, why don't you guys just sell in that scenario? Why wouldn't you sell your comics, rags number 1? Why wouldn't you sell them if you were going to open it up to print on demand? Why not just put a bunch up on eBay as well as a pre-order print on demand, so that people would be buying them for, let's say, $7, and then you guys can go to print on demand, print them up, and have them sent out to people that ordered them?
Okay. That's a fair question.
Fair question, actually. Huh.
All right. No, Brian, please go ahead.
No, it's honestly that's a very fair question. I, for one, don't like eBay, so I just mostly just stay off of it. I really am more focused on the Patreon aspect of this. So I really want to focus on the guys that are helping us crowdfund and helping us get the book done. As far as selling, I believe Antarctic is going into like a third or fourth printing for issue 1, and I think for issue 2 later. So the problem of this being a low print run and people not being able to get the book has now been solved.
Yeah.
And as far as us punishing people, like we stated before, we talked it over with everyone in our Rags Discord. What was the best way forward? How we should best act towards this thing? And we're no longer going to do print on demand. If people flip it on eBay, they flip it on eBay. That's on them. We're just going to let the market do what it wants.
Okay.
And we're going to get our book out. And if anybody comes to us and they say like, hey, I couldn't get a book and I had to go on eBay and pay like $180 just to get your book, we're going to find a way to rectify that for that fan.
Yep.
So,
okay.
I think
all right. No, that's fair.
yeah,
So
there's some things we haven't done right. There's some things we haven't done perfect. But again, we always go back and talk directly to our fans that are supporting us through our Discord channel and figure out what's the best way forward. So,
okay.
no.
So
All we want to get these books in the hands of people that actually want to read it and not somebody who wants to make their next car payment.
Okay. So final thoughts, and I just want to thank you both for joining me today. I thought this was an interesting conversation for a couple reasons. One, this is a great example of an independent publisher here who has been able to put together a comic book and have it be successful through crowdfunding and have it actually just like cause a ruckus in the industry in a good way, because people love this comic. They are buying it because they're speculating on it, because they see this as a promising story. These are all good things. But a part of this conversation we're having is that the way that this got funded in the first place is because of people thinking that this is a good bet for a successful story. There's a lot of independent publishers we can point to where it's like investing in a startup essentially. And if you have people paying $20 a month for a Patreon, the idea that we need to control what they do with their earnings, when at the end of the year they've paid hundreds of dollars towards this startup with the promise to get some merchandise, to kind of maybe, whether they want to keep it and have an item that they help fund, or if they want to sell it because they helped make it happen in the first place and they want to get their money back.
So when you're done with your statement, I just have one thing to say. But
yeah,
continue.
No, sure. I'll let you kick back if you like. And I'll do the same for Nick if you like. But the thing that got me interested in bringing this conversation up and actually chatting with Nick, and again, glad that you're both here with me, is that there's been so much talk from Rags. I mean, it was even in the second issue saying like, hey, you got scammed on eBay. We want to rub it in the flippers' faces. Though that kind of mentality is so dangerous when the collector's market is part of the reason why this book is even successful in the first place, because there's a lot of thousands of comic books that try to get funded every year that don't make it. They don't make that happen. But when you have collectors in this community, which is a large part of it, it makes things like your book successful. And it's dangerous when when we're having to have this conversation post the success of an independent title, because it hurts the credibility of those types of books getting made. And all we want is comic books to be made, and we want comic books to be in the hands of consumers that appreciate them. And you want to know, you say you only want your comic book in the hands of people who are going to appreciate them and read them. Well, the real, like their biggest fans, they're not just buying it to read it. They're also buying a copy to put in their long box to never look at again, and possibly a copy to get it graded. Those are your real fans. And it's so dangerous.
We have a lot of those.
Yeah. So again, I want to bring it back to that and just encourage you to not look down so much at the person who may make money off of your book, because there are other people willing to buy it and pay to get things done, like slabbing it and do other things that actually encourages the book to get viewed more and to actually get it on shows like mine where we talk about it.
Yeah, and by the way, your show was actually awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks so much. I appreciate that.
That was like the day we saw your video, we like shared it with all our family and friends.
Oh yeah, dude.
Nuts. But what I wanted to say was this Patreon's been running since, I want to say, it's been like what, 2 years now, Trent? Year?
2? No, I think it's been longer than that.
Yeah, well, in any case, and I can give you the screenshot to show you where we're at, but we actually didn't really start getting real funding for this book till about September.
Yep.
About August, September is when we started seeing that big giant spurt. But from June 2017 through, and this is about April, this was all funded out of pocket by me and Trent.
For sure. No, I mean, I could tell that this was honestly, my suspicions of, excuse me, and Nick, I'm sorry, Nick is over here and he's quiet. We've gone back and forth.
Nick's been awesome.
No, Nick,
this whole thing, being patient with us.
No, yeah, appreciate that, Nick. Nick, actually, what do you have to say so far? I mean, from this little back and forth, I want to bring you in the conversation.
I definitely, I want you guys to succeed. I want independent. I think it's great that, somebody has an independent. I'm in the same position. I built an app. I didn't have anybody. It's all it's everything that I've saved my entire life. So I totally understand where you guys are coming from. And by no means did I ever, try to put this video out in an effort to crush somebody or hurt you guys. But at the same time, there were a couple things that I feel it's since I have a resource that is meant to help the collector to identify when somebody might be getting screwed over, is something that I personally think is important.
Oh, Nick, I would take you one step further. Part of the reason why I would assume that you're involved is because you reported on this pricing. You specifically were letting people know that this was worth more money, as was I. And that's the issue. Is
That's
that
true.
this?
I was
It's that
giving out
these.
incorrect information,
Well,
and and then trying to get it was difficult. But what you guys are doing, the things that you guys are doing to make up for it, I think is admirable. And I just clear the slate on everything that happened before, and call it whatever you want, bumps in the road. But from here on out, it was my intention to make sure that I could, be someone that might be able to get the real word out on this. And if I can reach out to you guys, and if there's some confusion, please just be straight up, because your Discord channel, nobody knows what the hell is going on. But if there's something that's affecting the public, maybe you could pin it on a social media or on your website, even, put something like, don't buy these. Here's a link to buy them this way so you don't get screwed on eBay.
Yeah, like I said, we have better mitigations in place. And a lot of this too is we're new to the whole comic book market, if you will. No, this book, if you can't tell, is more of a labor of love. So, and I'm pretty sure Nick feels the same way about his app, where
absolutely
you want to make sure that no one's getting taken advantage of when they're using it. You want to get it out to the people that are going to love it. We have fought tooth and nail just to get this book to where it is.
Man, Brian,
And-
that's why
and-
I'm so excited that you're on here tonight to kind of try to, to clear this up. Because, bringing it back to that, like you just said it yourself, you guys are new to the collector's market. So all the tweets, all the things that you've been saying, it kills me, man. Cause like the collector's market helped make this book what it is. So I just encourage going forward, you embrace the collector's market, because people have faith in your book. Your book is awesome. And honestly, I wouldn't even go as far to say that you're going to stay away from limited copies. Like, do what you want to do. Some of the biggest and like most exciting modern books of our time, have been kickstarted, or they are really low printings of really scarce items. And there's going to be rags fans, if you keep going down the route of success, that are going to look at this as, wow, you know what? I will pay, that 9.8 for graded Walking Dead #1 at, for $2,000. And you got to embrace that with open arms, because that means you have someone diehard who wants your story to be successful.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's something we talked about a little bit with, people, the patrons in Discord. We've always been looking at it like, man, would I spend $200 on a comic? I'm like, no, I don't have that kind of fucking money. That's not something I'm able just to dole out, So it on a financial level, that it bothers me a little bit. I don't want somebody spending that much on our comic, and if I had, like, if I got enough AP comics, if somebody was really hurting and wanted one, and I was like, well, it's not an exclusive, I'll send you an AP one. I don't get nearly enough for it. But
So let me help you out. You want to know how I read your comic? I watched a review on YouTube, and
Yeah.
someone showed it to me. If anyone's really buying your comic book to read it, and they're spending $200, they're not buying it to read it. No,
Right,
it's online. So like that just doesn't make any sense. You just got to look at it as someone's willing to pay for it because they want to own something they think is scarce, which is why it's so important to be super upfront. There is 1,000 made. There is
it's
only
just
1,000.
really
Wait, hold on.
weird
I need
to
to
me.
kick this one. I have to kick this one back because
Please
Shane, who does our PR, when he first it started interacting with us, his first comment to me was, "Hey, I bought your book for $250 on eBay," and we mocked him for it because,
Yeah.
like, man, why would you pay that much money? Again,
It's
we-
just
we-
weird to us,
it's just
we
really
don't.
weird to us. I also have had this Marine who reached out to me last night and was telling me, like, "Hey, I heard about your book. I've been trying to find it. I paid $48 for it on eBay. I don't know if this is the right one." I ended up refunding him his eBay money, and I'm going to drive out to meet him next week when I drive out to Nevada for school, and I'm going to give him a nice little package that's got the retail #1, retail #2, and some of our Patreon exclusive stuff.
Okay.
Because
what do you mean you refunded them? Like you're gonna give him money out of your pocket?
Yeah, I gave him back his $48 from eBay. I mean, we really don't want people.
Well, he bought the number one, correct?
It was the print on demand number one.
Yeah, the print on demand number one.
He didn't need to.
That's
worth $5. You don't need to be paying $48.
So let me. That's actually a really good thing because I want to walk away with that mentality. You think that number one's worth $5 right now?
That print on demand number one that we self-published.
That there's only one
back in.
I want to.
That one. It's $5, man. Like it's a reader copy because it's missing a lot of stuff and it's just there for you to pick up and read.
No, I mean you're saying it's a reader copy, but you just said there's it's 1 out of 1,000, right?
No, it's limited to just over 1,000 from what they said about the
from the print count. So that right there.
Also, by the way, so there's no prologue in it, and it's censored, but it's still. I mean, if you're not gonna turn that back on,
that's 1 in 1,000. Okay, that doesn't. That's still.
So the reason why we're not gonna turn that back on is because. The reason why we're not going to turn that back on is AP is already printing a third print of number one, and we don't want to really compete with AP.
Yeah.
So that kind of shoots ourselves in the foot. Like, why would we compete with ourselves? So we're going to let AP handle the number ones. And again, part of our lessons learned where we messed up, and we're trying to do better.
Do you regret putting that book back to print and doing an extra 1,000 sales? Plus.
No, I don't regret it, and here's why. Every time you make a mistake, that's a lesson learned. That helps you improve. That helps you move forward, right? So if I learned a lesson from that and we grew and we got better because we made that mistake, then no, I don't regret it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just out of curiosity. What is Indie Planet's cut? Like, so if you guys put something
Indie Planet
up
does not get a cut. That all goes to us.
No kidding.
Yep.
Why would they? Okay. Are they just like a charitable
storefront?
Wow.
And we also do a lot of business with Indie Planet anyway. So
yeah.
Okay. And then okay, so that's interesting that you say that. So I mean, we'll let the audience, take it what they will. The last question I have is how do you value that book at $5? What are your like how are you putting a $5 price tag on it? Because you sold it for $5, or like what am I not getting here?
What do you mean? Like, how do we value that?
So this book that was selling for $200.
That's how much it cost, Tom, for them to print it up at Indie Planet.
For us to print and ship that to one individual just within the U.S.
It's $5. So it costs you $5, but you're saying it's a $5 book. You're saying, but it's 1,000 of them. So that's not a $5 book. Why do you keep saying that's a $5 book? That book's whatever the market says. Right?
It's $5. However, the market marks it up in 5 or 10 years.
Okay,
that is what it is. But to us here, that's a $5 book for someone to just pick up, read. Do I like this? Meh.
That's fair. I'll let that
something entry so people can just pick it up, read it. If they like it, they can find more. If they don't, hey, they didn't blow their paycheck.
Okay, so it's I'm trying to help you here. In the future, when you're putting out comic books, though, you can't assess a book that's 1 out of 1,000 as $5. That doesn't help the situation because
he's saying it. He's saying it. It's that he. I think
he's saying that's what he values it personally.
It's what it costs. It's what it costs.
I'm looking at it at cost. So
which justifies your reasoning for putting it back to print. But if you released 1,000 of them, that's still super low. And the fact that it's not still available and that you are kicking it back to the publisher to release the number one going forward, that print count that you tried to dilute, you just benefited from it. That's the only thing that the community would, I mean, in my opinion, maybe the community will see it differently, but that's all I can see is that you benefited from selling more books to people who thought it was worth money. And I'm mentioning that because if you're saying it's only worth $5, that's great. But 1 out of 1,000 is still super low. And if your book does well, it's not going to help it go down to $5 if that's what you're trying to do.
We will take that into consideration.
Yeah, 1 out of 1,000.
Again, we're new to this whole speculation collector market thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is new
Definitely.
information for us.
Sure.
Hey, I want to just say thanks to those guys for making some fixes on that and not just powering forward with how you're doing it. And I do like I think I told Shane, I said, if you guys have, I'm happy to get behind you when you have something that you come out with that's new, that starts hitting the market good. And this is not an experience where I would say, oh, I wouldn't do this anyway. I wouldn't, what I do with key collectors all about, it's not about anything personal relationships, but I want the best for you guys, knowing what you've gone through to get to this point and knowing how difficult that is. So I'm just putting it out there and saying that.
Yeah, and for us, we just want to make sure that our fans, like the people that actually want to read the book, again, now that Tom's put a different perspective on this, but we just want to make sure that no one's getting taken advantage of. That's our biggest worry.
Yeah,
this book has been a labor of love, and we've really tried our best to do right by our customer and our fan base. So again, we're kind of new to this whole thing. Some of our decisions have been the best decisions, but we're learning from them. We're adjusting fire. We're moving on. And I think at the end of the day, as long as everyone is happy with the book and the content for whatever price they paid for it, and they're happy with it, we're happy.
All right.
I just gotta say one thing. Nick, right?
Yeah.
Nobody affiliated with us is from Ohio, just so you know.
Oh yeah, that's Springman. Oh god. So the guy from Ohio, is one of the guys that leaked people's names, and that really pissed us off because
what was Ohio? I don't understand what
you were kind of hinting at that we were selling all these print on demands on eBay.
Yeah,
they're
Ohio and
selling from Ohio, but
yeah,
I'm from North Dakota.
I'm in San Diego, California.
I've had problems with that guy too, so I'm not.
Yeah, that guy's a douchebag. Like,
he's the one who leaked. Like,
so I know, and that's actually a good point. You guys brought that up. Because I don't, Nick, you brought it up, but here's the thing. I think the point was made that when you go about the way that it, like when things happen the way they do with this market, it opens up to those types of accusations. Like, he didn't make an accusation. Those, questioning it. It wasn't an accusation, but he was like, this looks fishy. And the only reason why it looks fishy is because of the way you went about doing it, which is why I think it's good that you're here now. You know what's going on, and go, and I think the biggest thing we can all walk away from, because you know what, Nick, you took off the price of that book, but now we know it's about 1,000 print count. All right.
Well, now what?
Now we know.
We'll give it some time, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens, But it's like, hey, but we know more info now. We got 1,000 print count on a book that people were paying all sorts of money for. It's gone up and down, up and down. And the creator, Brian, you're saying you're not putting these back to print on demand anymore. So it's going to be Patreon exclusive stuff going forward to a limited print count. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then going forward, Antarctic Press is where you can get your ongoing monthly title, including your #1, third print soon. And you can pay for cover price and be caught up on rags. Also correct? Yes?
That's correct.
Awesome.
And they're going to do a trade, right, at the end of the run?
No, we are not doing a trade at the end of a run. We're doing a trade that's Patreon only.
Ooh, interesting. Very good.
Yep. And at the end of yeah, we're already ready for that one. And I'll just say this: at the end of the run, we're most likely just going to walk away. Hopefully, just everyone enjoyed the story for what it was.
Okay.
I think things will change between now and then, and maybe you guys will have a different take on that. But you never, I mean, it's rough getting this stuff going, and I think you guys did a good thing by coming on today, and I appreciate that, and I respect that, and so thanks for doing that, guys.
Hey, you know what? Thanks for making the vid, because that pointed out some stuff to us that we weren't aware of. And so that lets us go back to the drawing board and say, hey, look, this is where we need to fix our AO and get our foxhole squared away.
I like it.
You guys do a good job of integrating the military speak, but
because I'm actually military.
Right.
So.
I know you're all veterans, and thank you for your service
I'm not a veteran. I got
Okay, everybody except
We got one
Shane,
veteran.
thank you for your service.
Even Shane likes to. He did this whole long speech on Twitter about 2 weeks ago, calling me a veteran. I'm like, bro, knock the fuck off. No.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your service,
Yeah.
Brian, and the fact that you make adjustments based on some things that were pointed out, I think is great, and I wish you guys luck. So,
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much to everybody who, Brian, Shane, and Shane, correct? Did I say that right?
No, that's Trent.
No, I'm Trent. I'm Trent.
And I just got one more thing I need to say.
Do it.
So we all have had interactions with more popular creators like Mark Wade, Dan Slott, and we didn't want to be the creators that were above criticism. So again, Nick, thanks for making the video. We're not above criticism. We learned from that. And again, that's only going to make us better. It's going to help us treat our customers better. And so at the end of the day, hopefully everybody wins. And that's all that matters.
It's awesome.
All right. That's a good way to end it. Thank you so much. Please, Comic Book Fam, we do appreciate your time tonight. It was all last minute. I do appreciate Brian for jumping on. Thank you so much, Nick, for joining me tonight for this discussion. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button for me, Comic Fam. Get this video out there. I want everyone to know we got so much good information tonight from, in my opinion, easily Rags, one of the top 3 biggest independent books published this year, causing a ruckus in the community, making the Hot 10 list twice since we started covering this. And I look forward to seeing it potentially making it on the list next year. Let's see what Rags has in store. And I'm interested to hear what the community thinks about this discussion. Let us know in the comment section below. Hit the like, hit that subscribe. And as always, do you guys know what we do here? By chance, at the end?
Plug stuff?
Yeah.
The what?
Plug stuff, yeah.
Oh, the plug stuff. Sure. Nick, do some plugging for me.
Okay, Key Collector Comics. I'm sure a lot of you know it since Thomas talked about it before. There's a website now that has all the information from the app on the site. And I thank everybody who subscribes to Key Collector and helps the app to maintain and continue to develop. And everybody who just generally uses it, thank you so much for your support as well.
Awesome. And Brian, where can we find out info on Rags? What can we expect?
Oh, just go to ragzombie.com. We update our site there. You can also read the comic for free digitally. I'm at Twitter at rags_zombie. Hit me up. I'm more than open to talk to anyone who follows. And please go to your LCS and order the comic. That helps the LCS stay in business. Very
good. That's a very good note to end on. We definitely encourage all of our audience to be good friends with their LCS and their store owners, support small business. Good stuff. All right, Comic Fam, thank you so much. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Nick. And as always,
Trent.
Yes.
Oh, and Trent too. Trent, you're on here too. Sorry, I'm looking at
How's it feel? Okay, so quick thing. So there's this running joke with us that whenever we get published, like Midtown Comics and whoever else just leaves my name off the cover, and they put Trent as the writer. Now it's like a running joke where, hey, it's Trent and some other dude that wrote it. But now, how's it feel, dude?
Yeah.
Actually, shoot. I have one last question. One last question before we end this. One last one. You did a Patreon promise to draw people into the comic, I believe. Are you drawing tell me about? All right. How many and how are you doing that?
It's the how do you say uncontrolled
cameo?
Yeah. We will. It was operator tier only, right?
Yep.
I want to say. Yeah. So operator tier only, they get a uncontrolled cameo, and we will just throw them randomly into a issue of the comic.
All right.
They don't have any control over it, and if we got a running joke about Shane actually that we're gonna do something gross with Shane, like make him a very gross phallic object or something like that, and he's not happy with it. So
he's gonna get killed by a giant dildo.
Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome. All right, well, you have full permission to kill me in any way in your comic, and I do appreciate you guys' time. Thank you so much. Very cool. And yeah, is your Patreon still open? Could people still sign up if they want to get exclusive, etc.?
Yes, we are looking to kind of bail on the platform, but if they still want to subscribe, yes, please subscribe.
Okay.
After issue 7, we're looking to do something special for everybody that hung through us through all these rough periods.
Oh boy.
So yeah, it's gonna be nice. So
I think you should kind of explain the when you oh my god, what is
yes,
subscribe?
that's one of our kinks that we need to work out. So again, when you subscribe, if you join mid-month, you probably missed the fulfillment phase. We do all fulfillment and printing on the 1st, and we get all those orders out and to make sure everyone's taken care of there on the 1st. So if you joined mid-month, you've more than likely missed it.
Okay. Very good. Well, peeps can find you. I'll make sure to link off in the description. I didn't know you were going to be joining us tonight, or I would have done it prior to the video, but I'll do it afterwards. And one last plug for Nick here. I also do weekly contributions to Key Collector. I kind of give my favorite picks too. So if you want to come over there and join me, I have the full service. I get all the notifications of Key books, all the latest news from Nick directly. I think it's I think this is a good opportunity to, for any other independent creators, the more info you provide Nick, the more it gets out to the community immediately, whether it be news or specific collector information. That's why I am a big fan of Key Collector, and his info's on the bottom to sign up, and to get to know your comics a little bit better. I do appreciate your time. Oh, you're welcome, Nick. You're awesome, man. Thank you so much for joining me too. Brian, Trent,
Thank
Nick,
you.
Geek responsibly, everybody, and have a good night.
Take
Yeah,
care.
good night.
Hi, everybody.